Story 1. Am I the a-hole for not accepting my sister's relationship with my ex despite her having cancer as a teenager? My, 25 female, father married my stepsister's, 23 female, mother when I was 4 and she was 3. We lived together most of our lives and are a family. She and I were extremely close. She developed cancer when she was 14 and was sick for about 2 years. She's since made a full recovery. During that time, my parents became, understandably, overprotective. They also asked a lot of me. I quit my extracurriculars so I could get a job, the money went towards her medical bills, and so I could drive her to appointments. I didn't go to dances, and any fun activities I did needed to include her. I did almost all of this willingly, the exception being having to quit my high school volleyball team. I did throw a bit of a tantrum about that, but was swiftly punished. And I think having one emotional breakdown was pretty chill given the circumstances. Anyhow, I go to college and meet my ex, we'll call him Ben, when I'm a junior. We fell in love, blah blah blah. He and I move in together when we graduate, so we've been living together for about 3 years. We were serious until July when I walked into my bedroom and saw him effing my sister. I broke it off. Tears were shed, he moved out, etc. My sister apologized at first, but then backed off. I thought she was giving me space, but last week she called and asked if we could meet up. She told me that she and Ben were in love and were just telling me as a courtesy before they started posting photos online. Distraught, I left her in the restaurant by herself and did not pay my portion of the bill. She later Venmo'd me asking for the money. She told my parents, who then called me to their house telling me how disappointed in me they are for not supporting my sister's relationship with Ben. They brought up the fact that because she had cancer as a teenager, she never learned proper social etiquette and has a hard time meeting people. I don't buy this, in part because I've seen her socialize just fine, and since we spent a good chunk of the time she was sick together, that would also mean that I should have bad social skills as well by that logic. They then told me that I don't accept my sister and Ben's relationship. They may have to go no contact with me. I reminded them that I'm also their daughter and they should understand my point of view, but they are adamant that this is about me being jealous of her. For the record, I'm not jealous of her. I'm not upset that Ben picked her over me. I'm sad about the end of the relationship and do feel betrayed, but Lord knows that I don't want to be with a cheater. What I'm upset about is the fact that my sister chose Ben over me, that she slept with Ben knowing he and I were in a long-term committed relationship and continues to be with him knowing how much it hurts me. Now, no one in my immediate family is talking to me, and I'm getting messages from aunts and uncles and cousins telling me that I'm an a-hole and a selfish bee. Update. Sometimes you can only laugh. Just got off the phone with my cousin who saw this post and said he could explain a few things. I asked him why he was on Reddit instead of school, he asked me why I was on Reddit instead of work, and I said, touché. He told me that after my conversation with my mom, she went to his house and talked to my aunt, and here's the deal. Turns out my sister is not only in a relationship with Ben, but 4 months pregnant, which means she and Ben were effing for longer than I'd even guessed. Apparently my parents are so adamant that I forgive her because I'm already ruining their experience of first grandchild. That's right, I'm less important than my stepmom posting ultrasounds to Facebook. This is where we're at. Anyhow, I called out of work sick the rest of the day and I'm going to drink a lot of alcohol, like a lot of alcohol, and then start thinking about what the F I'm going to do. First things first, best advice I can give you, she's already clearly gone and drank all the alcohol, and I can't blame her. I would probably do the same in that situation. It's not the healthiest choice, but it's an understandable choice. I will say the best thing you can do, the best revenge, is a life well lived. But also, God, that sucks. That sucks so bad. It's not just your sister, but you've been friends since you were little kids. It's family. And cheating on you with him for 4 months. So, I think that forgiveness can be achieved eventually. But the fact that they're expecting the person posting this to just be okay with things and forgive them so soon is ridiculous. That's just completely disregarding her emotions and totally gross. And frankly, given that, basically her sister betrayed her and this Ben guy betrayed her, I don't think she has to, be okay with it ever. That's just, it's not cool. If she wants to forgive him, cool. But if not, the rest of the family being like, you're being a real a-hole. No, screw off, rest of the family. To the person posting this, good Lord. I don't know. I hope you find some people who actually value you the way that you deserve to be valued. Story 2. I don't care if you're living here, my daughter wants to rent. As with many folks, I don't think I had anything to contribute here, but when I actually read the sign on our front door for the first time in a few months, I remembered a good one. My wife and I moved to Mississippi after getting married. She's a native and I'm from out of state. We met online and had the wedding in my hometown. She had a full ride and assistantship at Mississippi State, so it didn't make sense to have her give that up. We were fortunate in that her grandfather had an extra property he wasn't using, and he lets us stay there rent-free. It's a crap shack in the middle of the woods that was built by an idiot who has no business playing with Legos, much less building an actual structure, but hey, it's free! I can only complain so much. My wife's schedule varies greatly day by day, which saw her alone at the house while I was working when the entitled mother showed up. EM entitled mother, W wife, GIL, grandfather-in-law. So my wife is hanging out in the living room doing some work before she has to leave for class when she hears someone drive up. Our house is really out of the way, so we don't get guests. She was going to get her handgun when she saw a slightly older lady walk by the window. Not seeing a threat, she went and answered the door when the knock came. Wife, can I help you? Yes, I wanted to talk about renting this place for my daughter. Oh, sorry, but me and my husband are living here. Well, my daughter is in college and needs a place to stay. Well, that's great and all, but like I said, I live here. Well, I was hoping to talk to grandfather-in-law. No, the house isn't for... I know him personally, you see, and I wanted to talk to him about renting. I don't care if you know him. Your daughter can't stay here. My husband and I live here. What aren't you getting about that? Young lady, I'm sure grandfather-in-law won't appreciate that you're talking to me like this. I'm sure my grandfather won't give a damn that I told you your daughter is going to have to find another place to live. Entitled mom looks shocked at the mention that grandfather-in-law is actually my wife's grandfather and she wasn't some random squatter living in this house. She huffs, turns on her heel, and goes back to her car. My wife goes back inside and uses a sturdy note card to create a sign that is taped to our door to this day. We are not and will not be renting. Management. Edit. Getting a lot of questions about why my wife went to grab her gun. We live in a very isolated area outside a small, poor town. You have to go out of your way to get to our house, and the only people who visit us are our in-laws. They do so very rarely and always call before coming. Someone driving up to our house is suspicious for these reasons. We're not preparing to take shots at the first sign of movement. We're just being prepared in case the worst comes about. The worst coming about being the in-laws coming to visit. Am I right? Sorry. No, I mean, yeah, I'm not a gun person. I'm not comfortable around them, even though I grew up in a house that had more guns than people by a wide margin. But I don't care for them. But I think if I lived in a little shack in the middle of nowhere and stuff, even I might be tempted. I mean, at the very least, a crossbow, right? And yeah, people just like, no, I want to be renting. I don't care that you live here. I don't think you'll, like, what? Shut up. If you want to talk to him about renting, go to him and talk to him about renting. Don't just go to the place and be like, yes, I shall have this. Begone, peasant. Story 3. This girl in the theater had her feet up on the back of my friend's chair. I went out to a movie with my friends last night. We come and sit down, and I realize pretty soon that this girl in the row behind us has her feet up on my friend David's seat. She's there with one of her friends. So David turns around and he says something like, do you think you could put your feet down? And I think they say something in response, but I didn't hear it. The feet didn't go down. A few minutes later, David says, hey, will you get your feet off my chair? It's extremely rude. And they still don't budge. So I tell David that he should go find an employee and get them to talk to this girl. He does exactly that, and after a couple of minutes, an employee comes and talks to this girl. She's obviously pretty peeved, but begrudgingly agrees to put her feet down. After the employee leaves, she puts her feet right back up. At this point, I'm peed off. Why is it so important to you that you have your feet up on someone's chair? You're just being a brat. So I get out of my seat, walk up 2 rows, sit down in the seat directly behind this girl, and stick my foot on the back of her chair and push it forward. They both turn around and try to say something to me, but I can't really hear them since the movie has started by this point, so I just say, just watch the movie. I kept my feet up there the entire movie. It felt like I had done wall sits for 2 hours, but I'm glad I did it. I feel like this is why when you go to the theaters, you should always get like a big cup of ranch or something like that. And if people are going to put their feet in your seat, stand up and just pour the ranch on their shoes. And then, you start a big fight and people are throwing fists and you all get kicked out and nobody gets to see the movie. But at least you put ranch on somebody's shoes. And I guess that's a win, right? I don't know. Yeah, people, just be reasonable. Be nice, okay? Just don't be D-bags in theaters. It's a public place. I don't care if you want your feet up. If you put your feet up, I'm going to take your shoes and I'm going to throw them across the theater. Just be nice. Hey folks, obvious content warning of threats of self-termination in this story. If you're uncomfortable with that, this is the last story of this video, so you can just stop the video now and we'll see you on the next one. And for the rest of you, here we go. Story 4. Mom threatens and fakes self-termination to make a 10-year-old take her side in fights. When I was 7 years old, I went to the bathroom to pee just to find a bathing mug 20% filled with blood. I ran outside crying in panic to Mom. She said it's her blood she removed with injection because Dad didn't want to take her to an orchestra. Similarly, she would accuse Dad a lot of having an affair. When they would be fighting, she would tell me not to talk to Dad or she would jump off our house. Young me would be very scared. I didn't want to lose my mom. She would say, your dad would marry another woman and you would have a stepmom. She used to say stepmoms abuse their stepkids. The irony. They beat them and deny them food and basic needs. One evening when I was 10, Mom was on the roof till 11:30 p.m. I found her roaming around, not sad or anything. She said she was just bored. We only had a 1-bedroom me and my parents shared. I went to sleep and Dad was already asleep. Mom finally came down at 11:45 p.m., took out something of the cupboard and ate it, and she came to sleep next to me. She told me she had swallowed 4 Valium pills, high-powered sleeping tablets, and said, your dad can marry whoever he wants, I'm out. And she casually went to sleep. I was very scared, crying. I didn't know what to do. I hugged her and couldn't stop crying for an hour or so. She finally woke up, went to the bathroom, and I could hear her puking sounds for 10 to 15 seconds, and she came back to sleep. She didn't say anything. I was still not sure whether I would have a mom after waking up the next day, but she was completely fine and acted like nothing happened last night. I used to have nightmares for months after that in which either my mom had died or she had left the home forever. When I was in severe depression and had to drop out for a year from school, Mom used to say, you and I should both drink poison because you're useless anyway. She would make jokes like, watch out, I might have mixed something in your food. Why do you keep living? You're not doing anything for your family. Okay, so while I might feel bad for the mom because clearly she's got something bothering her, be it clinical depression or any number of other things that I'm not qualified to address, the fact that she is like taking this out on her family, especially her child like this, is inexcusable and just monstrous. This is unequivocally mental abuse of the highest order I can imagine. What this person has gone through, the trauma that they've had to deal with, having their mom act like this around them is just beyond words. And I hope that this person has gone to therapy and got help. I hope that this mom has gone and gotten help. And frankly, if I was this person and I got old enough, I would never want to have contact with my mom again because of what she put me through. Even if she got better, I think that she would be so triggering to me for such awful, dark, horrible memories. Like, that just ruins everything. And just because you're going through something terrible with depression or something like that does not excuse you abusing others, especially not to this degree. So please, if you're struggling, seek help, but don't project this stuff onto other people, especially not kids. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.